Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 12 of our 30-day personal brand growth plan. So, if you've been joining us, we have transitioned into level 2. And so, we're looking at action step number 2, determine your signature strategic plan from our Brand Yourself the Expert some time ago now. So, part of this 30-day personal brand growth plan is really about leveraging your current professional profile and positioning your personal brand strategically and systematically as the expert in your field. So you can build a powerful personal brand, create a brand that attracts opportunities, develop a personal brand that reflects your potential and your goals, differentiate your goal or your brand, and brand yourself as the expert in the field. So, my name is Rachel Quilty. I'm an author. I'm a personal brand strategist, brand management consultant. I'm also more recently a qualified director and filmmaker. And so, as a result of working through that, I was actually managing to create a lot of momentum around personal branding because I was moving it from professional image, personal style into this space where it was applying big business branding principles to the personal brand, which, there was a number of celebrities that were doing that, but they were projecting from their existing personal style. And so what we weren't seeing is the empire and the legacy that they were building behind it. And so that was what I was starting to do. And I became recognized as the authority in personal branding as a result of kind of unpacking the behind the scenes of what these celebrities were doing. And as I always say, personal branding is the prerequisite to success. So if the only thing you remember from this presentation is this, then I would be really pleased because everything follows. So your personal brand is a prerequisite to success. So, my mission is to assist you strategically and systematically build your professional profile to enable you to leverage your personal brand and position yourself as the recognized authority in your marketplace and field. And so, really, it starts by creating this level of expertise within your field and being recognized for your expertise. And so, to build your brand empire, to increase brand name awareness and momentum around your personal brand and professional success, requires you to work. I call it work backwards and upside down. And so, you may want to be you want to be recognized as the expert in your field. And one of the things that I'm going to kind of look at a couple of case studies here so you can see what I mean by working backwards and upside down. So I suggest there's like 12 components to building your personal brand legacy. And so we looked at phase 1, planning and promise and purpose. And now we're looking at phase 2, this platform preparation and packaging. And then we'll move into the next 10-day cycle, phase 3, which is about positioning, power, and presence. And where we've been has been from day 1 to 10, we looked at level 1, brand yourself action plan. We looked at the action steps and we were considering your strategic purpose. We planned your brand. We looked at signature style, your marketing plan, looked at where your existing brand was, what your ideal brand was. And so we were trying to gain a very firm understanding of your brand. And so this is where what I say, it's kind of like, well, we've looked at your purpose. And one of the things that I do know the action plan does is really it unwraps your purpose. You start to excavate and you really do find it. And the author of The Alchemist, or quoted from within The Alchemist, is this quote: to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. And so often identify purpose with, if you know the story of Captain America. So initially, Steve Rogers was rejected from the recruiting for the war. And he was administered this super soldier serum and he became Captain America. And so it's really one of those things where you realized as you watch the movie that he had found his purpose. And sometimes you just need to add that extra ingredient, which in this case was the super soldier serum. And so that's what I want to do. I want to add the super soldier serum to you so that you can start building your expert empire. So we really need to be thinking strategically. And this is where I like to say, this is when you put your CEO hat on, because when you look through the filters of a CEO at your personal brand, you can become a little bit more objective about it. But I mean, you're tapping into the strategic vision of your brand and your purpose, but it gives you that capacity just to increase your professionalism and approach to your personal brand. And so I always say, decide to be the CEO of your personal brand, define your CEO role. And so, in when you're doing our trainings, we actually distribute a job description around a CEO, and this is something that we spend a little bit of time on. Determine your CEO mindset, develop a project management approach. And because of my background as industrial relations advocate and manager within the construction industry, I have a very strong kind of management system process, as well as looking at like a project management skill base. I think it's really essential, basically. Okay, so the purpose of your personal brand. What is the purpose of my personal brand, and what will I achieve with it? What do I need to have in place to launch or reposition my personal brand? Specifically, what is the strategic vision for your personal brand? The CEO of an organization is generally responsible for the strategic vision. And so we're talking about developing your signature strategic plan. But you really need to, before you dive into your plan, you need to understand your vision, your mission, its purpose. And strategic planning is worthless unless there is first a strategic vision, as John Nesbitt indicates. And he was a fellow from Harvard and has done a lot of work in Asia previously. So when we think about great personal brands, we think of people like Steve Jobs and like where he started and where he finished his role with Apple. We look at Oprah and how she, owned her own channel in the end. Richard Branson, how he becomes so disruptive to various industries. We look at authors such as J.K. Rowling's, and when we think about different celebrities and their visions for their world and their brand and their life, they weren't always this concrete, sentence or construction, although that's where we tend to want to model that situation. But if we look at Madonna, I want to rule the world, that's what she was talking about, all those years ago. Oprah, I want everyone to love me. I want to have the biggest classroom in the world. Bill Gates, someday every home will have a computer. Henry Ford said every family will be able to own a car. And so we have these kind of visions that are very close to their hearts, and not necessarily this kind of strategic corporate vision that we might want to apply. So it's really kind of, we need to have a little bit of flexibility there. So let's just think, we've got our strategic plan. We need to look at our strategic vision statement, which, we're going to give it some flexibility. So we define strategic vision as outlining what the organization wants to be and how it wants the world in which it operates to be. It's a long-term view and concentrates on the future. It can be emotive and it is a source of inspiration. Additionally, it draws on the core brand values exhibited by the business. So we then look at our personal brand mission statement, and that should be answering off 3 questions. What is my life about? So your purpose. What do I stand for? What are your values? What's important to you? What actions do I take to manifest my purpose and my values? And then we start looking at your personal brand. We're doing this very rapidly. Ordinarily, this is over a 2-hour training session, if not more, because there's a lot of content here that's kind of under the surface. So a strategic plan generally covers off 5 rolling years, and it links the mission to the vision. So how are you going to achieve this vision? Strategic plans are reviewed annually to to monitor progress and ensure alignment with other planning cycles. It establishes imperatives, goals, strategies, and performance measures for the organization that it can be used as a management and communication tool. So I love keeping my strategic plans simple. And I like to not necessarily have them 5 years, but reduce it to 1 to 3. And, it's really about having your strategic goal, your strategic strategy, creating an action plan, creating the action steps within it, and then looking at your tactics or tactical steps within your action steps. So when you start to break down your strategic plan into those type of chunk size pieces, you can actually start to achieve it in a very, comprehensive, progressive manner. And that's why I like it to be systematic and strategic, because if you do follow my system, the outcome and the results are literally guaranteed. And because I say that because you become crystal clear, and you can start to build momentum. And when you start focusing on your brand is actually growing because of the mere fact that you're focused on it. Okay, so the following strategies are to achieve your personal brand goal. To enhance your personal brand awareness, a strategy is an integral part of your strategic plan. A strategy is the plan of action, method, process, or strategic steps taken to accomplish a goal in a strategic plan. They indicate how results will be achieved. Each goal and objective will have one or more strategies. So strategic planning is really a keystone to your brand success, and planning your resource requirements is also a very valuable and often overlooked component of the personal brand planning process. And that's why we talked about it. Action step number 8, I think it was, we looked at desired outcomes and resources and skill sets needed so that you could actually plan and determine what was the next skill that you needed and where were you going to be leveraging your brand next. So if you're writing a book, feel free. One of the things that I've been able to do, because my book is so well branded, I'm one of the very few people that actually, when I was releasing my book 10 years ago, I was able to give the designer my brief. And so I was one of the very few authors of maybe 25 authors at that time that were having their books released. That was actually, mine was one of the most well branded and the most consistently branded across all my products, which obviously is important because I'm a personal brand strategist and a brand management consultant. So it's important that I nail that one. And so, but it also gave me opportunities because then I was coaching other authors on how to build their brand and make sure that their book encapsulated their brand and their essence and their all these elements right from day one. Which, when you think about J.K. Rowling's, you think about Game of Thrones, all those pieces of the puzzle are built in from day one, beyond, before day one, really. So that's kind of level of branding that you want to be thinking about. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. So I would love you to head over, grab our free resource, the Brand Yourself Blueprint, download a copy. If you're going to print out one of the documents, print out the work journal because it has the questions that it would be great for you to answer. I get all